interact. Recording. Thank you. It's interesting for us. We get to interact with the kids on a whole new, different level, and families too, for that matter, as they start beginning to identify what potentially can lay ahead. And that might be in terms of the goals they're identifying for themselves, careers, paths they might be starting to identify, and even just potentially study prospects. Tonight you'll hear from Lauren Anglin, who's our senior school programs leader, and John Takulan, who's our careers coordinator. I hope that the information that you get tonight answers some questions, or any questions that you may have. On the note of questions, if you do have a question, I'll ask you. We don't sort of have the facility with so many people online tonight to actually take live questions, but there is a chat function as part of the Zoom call. So if you have a question, if you can type it into the chat function, we are recording this, so we'll be able to track back on it, and we'll get around to answering that as soon as we can. That's all from me for the moment. Again, I hope you take something away from tonight. There's some really important information about how to support the students to make the right choices going forward. There's obviously we know that people have a lot of questions and are undecided about what sort of subjects are in your best interest next year, but hopefully we can go some way towards helping you make that decision. So I'll hand over to back to Lauren, and I hope you have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. All right, I'm just going to share my screen with you now, as I do have a few slides that I need to get through this evening, and hopefully that'll just complement what we're talking about and provide that little bit of extra clarity for you. Okay, share. Richard, can I just get you to give me the thumbs up that you can see that? Great. Okay, so firstly, I just want to echo Richard's sentiments in welcoming you all to your first taste of life up in the senior school. We're really excited to have the Year 9 cohort come up next year, and we want to make sure that that transition is as positive as possible. And part of that will be about making the right selection in relation to subjects and courses for 2022. So, a delightful, there we go. Wasn't letting me change slides. Right, so firstly, let me just outline who we are in the senior school and the people that are most important to our 2022 Year 10. So at the moment, our assistant principal for the senior school is Richard Palmer. There's myself as the senior school leader, and we have our Year 10 coordinator in John Haywood. Now, this is where it starts to get tricky, because the Year 10 program is a vastly different program to that you would have been used to in the senior school. So the Year 10 framework is underpinned by a number of key goals that we have here. So firstly, we align it very closely with the VCE. So the teaching and learning is really connected and draws from the VCE framework. And this is part of our way of ensuring that our students are ready for that senior school certificate when they step into it. The other thing that underpins the Year 10 framework is opportunity. And that means giving our students access to VCE studies, VET studies, and to lots of applied learning opportunities. So there's sort of some of the things that we have kept in mind as we've prepared this program. So the subject structure at Year 10 is each semester the student will be enrolled in 6 subjects plus 4 SP. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So in each semester, the student will be enrolled in English and Maths, and they are compulsory full year subjects. So they run semester 1 and 2. So they take up 4 of the total of 12 subjects a student will do at Year 10. The student then has a choice of any 8 electives. And it's worth noting the following. If selecting a LOTE option, so whether you might be looking at selecting Japanese or Indonesian, those are semester 1 and 2 subjects. So they are a full year subject choice and would reduce your further electives down to 6. The same goes if you are selecting a VET option. So that's vocational education and training. And myself and Mr. Takulan, our careers teacher, will talk a little bit more about VET a little later in this presentation. But VET is also a full year subject, and both LOTE and VET are really about a full year commitment. The other thing that is a full year commitment is accelerating to a VCE subject. And again, I'll talk about that more a little later, but it is important to understand that they are a semester 1 and 2 choice. So we've got 8 electives, but if you are going with LOTE, VET or VCE, then your number of electives reduces down to 6. I will just take a quick moment to mention our 4SP program, or what is currently known as 4SP. So this is at the in 2022, this will be a once weekly subject that allows the school rather to run cross-curricular and administrative functions with the entire cohort. So during 4SP, we run things like a pathways support and careers support program, doing things, for instance, like helping our students prepare for their mandatory work experience, which they'll do in Year 10, running some of our wellbeing programs, such as Party Safe, and running some really specific study skills and life skills programs, such as Road Smart and things like that. And it also gives us an opportunity to run things like year level assemblies and those sorts of activities. And what it means is that we're not taking students out of their other classes to do these really important programs. So it's going to be renamed, or likely will be renamed in 2022, but for the moment it's known as 4SP that time. All right, so this is what a typical Year 10 course looks like at Gisborne Secondary. So you can see we've got in semester 1 and 2 an English option. We've got in semester 1 and 2 a math option, so our 2 compulsory subjects. And then this student has picked modern world history, biology, forensic science, literature, dance, chemistry, health, and media studies. You know, this is a really typical course. And what's nice about this course is we've got a breadth of selections across different areas or different faculties in the school. There's some science, there's humanities, there's arts represented, and then there's health and PE as well as an extra literature there. So that's one of the things that you'll hear me come back to a lot tonight, and you'll hear Mr. Coulin come back to a lot, is that we really would recommend that students select a breadth of subjects from a variety of faculties, because we want them to experience as much as they can prior to that more focused selection that they'll do at the end of Year 10 for their VCE studies. So really would like to see you thinking about trying things that you might not have tried before and making sure you've got subjects from a variety of faculties. And that'll really not only give you a taste of lots of different things, but it'll also give you a breadth of skills that will then set you up for success in your senior school certificate. All right, so that's a typical Year 10 course. What I've got here is a typical Year 10 course with the addition of a LOTE subject. So you can see Japanese is in here for the whole year, and then we've got our 6 electives on the end. And these are really just to give you a little look at what a timetable might look like. And I'll just mention here, I've left the 4SP program off here, but that's obviously in addition to what you can see on the screen. All right, so subject selection from 9 into 10, talking about VET, or vocational education and training. So these are courses that where a student studies to complete a certificate additional to their Year 10 studies, usually for students who have a post-secondary vocational pathway mapped out. So if you're a student who is really clear that you want to become an electrician, or you want to work in the hair and beauty industry, or you want to work in childcare, VET is a really good introduction to that pathway, and a really good additional certificate to have before you go out into that industry. All right, so it's really for those students who are planning to go straight to work or a traineeship or an apprenticeship post Year 12. VET courses are run, whether they're run internal or on-site at GSC, or external TAFEs or at other schools, they're run by those TAFEs, so they're administered by those TAFEs. So some of the courses are run at GSC and some are run at other secondary schools and some are run at external TAFEs. So where a vet's run at an external TAFE, you would need to travel to that external TAFE or that other school to get there. The ones that we run at Gisborne Secondary College can be taught in 2 modes. They can be taught 1 day a week or a fortnight, or within the blocking system where they fit within a normal timetable. So, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. We do offer students who do a vet which takes them out for an entire day, a study period within their normal timetable to allow for them to catch up and maintain their work with their other classes. So I'll show you what that looks like now. Really important, if you want more information about vet, and I know Mr. Chakulan will talk about this a bit later tonight, but really get in touch with our careers team because they're the experts when it comes to talking about these programs that we offer. So a timetable for vet where it's run weekly for a whole day. So this student attends vet building and construction every Wednesday. So you can see that they've got English in here, maths in here. They've got that study period to account for those classes they miss on a Wednesday. And then they've got their 6 other electives for the year. So that's how we manage and support our students who are doing those whole day vets. This, on the other hand, is a vet where it's blocked within the timetable, so the student doesn't miss any other classes. So this student's doing vet, sport and recreation. They've got their compulsory English and maths, their vet class, and those 6 other electives on offer. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what vet can look like in terms of a timetable. And as I said, Mr. Chakulan will talk in more detail about the vet options a little later. All right, the next thing that I would like to talk to you all about is the accelerated or the option for an accelerated VCE study. So many of our high achieving and really dedicated students complete a year 11 subject while they're in year 10. So this might be, I know we have students that are doing accelerated studies in maths, in science, in PE, in health, in psychology, lots of different options for accelerating and doing a VCE subject in year 10. It's really important that if this is something you're interested in that you want to do, really think about the subject being one that you currently excel in, okay? Because stepping up to that VCE level and the expectations to meet the requirements of the VCE or the Victorian Certificate of Education, it's really important that it's a subject that you love and that you feel really confident and capable in, or that it's related to a subject that you feel confident and capable in. So if you are really interested in doing biology, you should be a student that currently loves and excels in your science class. If you're a student that wants to accelerate in maths, then you should be currently loving maths and excelling in your current maths classes. The benefits of doing an accelerated program is that it gives you exposure to the rigors of VCE. It also gives you an extra subject to contribute toward your ATAR and exposure to more subjects in the VCE. So they're the bonuses there. That bonus only works if the student is doing well in that subject. So it's really important to keep that in mind. It's not just an automatic, I'm going to get this big bonus to my ATAR at the end of my schooling. It's really thinking about doing something that you're good at and that you love. Subjects selected are often related to student pathways, okay, and allowing them to fit in an extra subject. So if you already know that you want to study something at university that might have really competitive entry, this might be a really good option for you to explore. Students that really want to do this need to complete an accelerated subject application form, and those are on the website. And I'll go through the application forms and whatnot a bit later tonight. But it is really important that you not only fill out the application, but that you submit any required material that needs to go with that application. So depending on the subject area, the material required to support the application is slightly different. And that will enable the heads of those faculties. So if you're applying to accelerate in English, for instance, the head of the English faculty would look at your application and the essay that you would submit with that. All right, so just to give you a look at what accelerated VCE study might look like across the year 10, 11 and 12 journey, we'll have a look at this. So a math acceleration would likely look like this. So the student would do Maths A, which is the compulsory year 10 math subject. They would do general maths, which is a year 11 subject, while they're in year 10. Then in year 11, they would go on to do further maths, the year 12 subject. They would also do math methods 1 and 2, which is a year 11 subject, going on to finish with methods unit 3 and 4 in year 12. Some students also apply to do specialist math. That is a very high and extended level of maths that is currently being completed by some students virtually, because we just don't have enough students to run that subject. But that's what an accelerated pathway for maths looks like. An English accelerated pathway might look like this, where at year 10 you're doing English A and literature as an elective. So this is really important to think about. If you're someone who loves English and has maybe done the year 9 literature elective, or you really have enjoyed the English language elements in your normal English classes, it would be really beneficial that you either sign up for literature and or English language as electives at year 10, so that you're getting exposure to the different types of English that you can do at VCE. Most of our students will continue with standard English, and it's the right option for most students. But if you're someone who's currently loving English, loves to write, exposing yourselves to some different types of Englishes at year 10, so we offer the literature and English language electives, would be really beneficial. So an English acceleration would be English A and literature with English 1, 2. Then at year 11, you do English 3, 4 and literature 1, 2, finishing with literature 3, 4 in year 12. And a science acceleration might look like this, where you do forensic science and chemistry as your year 10 electives, as well as biology 1, 2. Then going on to do biology 3, 4 in year 11, chemistry 1, 2, and then chemistry 3, 4 in year 12. So they're just some options. There's arts ones, there's performance ones, etc. Definitely have a think about looking at what your options are. And as I said, really important to pick something that you enjoy and excel at if you're interested in the accelerated program. This is what an accelerated timetable might look like for a student in year 10. So they're doing the English, the maths, then they've got the year 11 subject, so unit 1 at semester 1, unit 2 at semester 2, and then the rest of their year 10 electives. All right. I know that putting attendance up when we're in remote learning and struggling through this is probably going to send some shivers down some spines. I know it's really tough at the moment, but I think it's really important that as we ask students to step up into the senior school, it's really important that they start thinking about the fact that every day does really count. The curriculum pace of delivery of content really picks up. So missing a day here and there has a greater impact than ever before. And so it's really important that we see students in year 10 demonstrating that they're really hitting those attendance targets and attending all of their lessons. So just something to keep in mind as you finish up year 9, and when we come back to school, hopefully in a week or so's time, that you're really focusing on ensuring that you're attending school as much as you possibly can. All right. Now, I'll briefly give you a little bit of an overview of year 11 and 12, because I've been talking about things like the VCE all night. And for those of you that have not had a older sibling or an older child go through this program, it's worth mentioning. The other thing that is new for our Year 9s going into Year 10 is that the VCAL, or the current Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning, will not exist for them. So if you've heard about VCAL before, it's a program that will no longer exist. Not just at Gisborne, but it won't exist at any schools. It's being disbanded, and basically there will be a vocational stream within the current Victorian Certificate of Education, the current VCE. We're still waiting for a fair bit of data on what that will look like, but I thought it was really important tonight that anyone who's heard of VCAL or thinking that that might be their pathway, it will look really different for our students that are currently in Year 9. So the Victorian Certificate of Education, or the VCE, is a 2-year certificate. So it's something that needs to be completed over that 2-year journey. And at the end of that 2-year journey, students will sit external examinations. These are run by VCAR, and they will receive an ATAR, which will give them an Australian Tertiary Admissions ranking, or a university ranking. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about the VCE. The VCE structure is broadly this, where we have 6 Unit 1 subjects, 6 Unit 2 subjects, for a total of 12 units. Those 6 subjects of Unit 1 and Unit 2 are generally the same subject, so you would do biology at Unit 1 and Unit 2. And the same at Year 12. At Year 12 in particular, these subjects must be a sequence, so you end up studying just 5 subjects at Year 12. So you do the 10 units, giving you 22 units overall. Typical Year 11 rather, timetable might look like this. And you can see that we're down to 6 subjects. So going from 10 different subjects in Year 11 to just 6 different subjects in Year 11. And that goes down again to 5 in Year 12, where we introduce a study period to help students manage the volume and the workload that they need to get through in that Year 12 year. All right. Couple of things to remember when you're making your course selections. It's really important to play to your strengths. Actively seek support from your family, friends, and teachers. So it's been really great. Our Year 10s have been going through this process for their Year 11 selections, and it's been really wonderful to hear that students are reaching out to a variety of teachers to really ensure that they're making the right decisions for themselves going forward. I've got prerequisites on here, and down the bottom it says there are no Year 10 prerequisites for Year 11, and that is true. However, if you are someone who already has a pretty good idea what your pathway is, knowing those prerequisites and thinking about what subjects might help me would be beneficial. All right. Okay. I just want to talk for a moment here about the compulsory subjects. So as I mentioned earlier, that at Year 10, we've got compulsory English. There are 2 different compulsory English options, English A, which is what the vast majority of you will do, and English B, which is a subject that's done by teacher recommendation with parent and student consultation. So really, students going into English B might have been students that have been in extra literacy support classes during Years 7, 8, and 9. And this is English B is a way of continuing to support those students as they move up through the senior school. In the English category, as I already mentioned, there are these 2 electives, literature and English language. And as I said, for anyone who's really thinking about doing a different English during their VCE, trying these out, I very highly recommend and strongly suggest that you pop these down on your options list. The math compulsory subjects at Year 10 are Math A, B, and C, and teachers have made a recommendation about where students or which one of these students should go into based on how they've been going in Year 9 maths, but that is not a determination. So it's around when you're doing your course advising sessions with teachers, talking through what's the best maths. Certainly the teacher recommendation should be, given due consideration. If a student, for instance, was recommended for Math B, but they're really aspiring to go on and do more difficult maths at the VCE, it would be about thinking about what do they need to do to succeed in Maths A. It might be about having a tutor. It might be about getting some extra supports in place so that that student can succeed. The other thing to mention with Math A, B and C is that, or English A and B, is that changes to these classes aren't always possible. So sometimes we find that a student selects Maths B, but they really should have been in Maths A, but it doesn't work with their timetable, or we don't have room in those classes. So it's really important that you consider these subjects right at the start and make sure that you're making the right choice. Just because we have been talking about the lead into VCE, just so you know that at year 11 and 12, the only compulsory subject is to have an English subject. And so you need to have at both year levels, you need to have English or literature or English language. You can do more than one of these, but you must have at least one of these when you go into your VCE. All right. Jumping along. The final thing that I want to talk about is our progression policy. So once students get into year 10, automatic progression to year 11 will only occur when a student has satisfactorily completed at least 9 out of their 12 year 10 units. So, and this means all, including all the English units, because that, as I said, is the mandatory requirement at VCE. Where a student does not meet these requirements, doesn't mean that they won't be able to go into year 11. It just means that we'll have a student school parent conference where we'll try and put in place some supports to ensure that that child can be successful when they step up into that year 11 framework. All right. I am now going to give you a break from me rattling on and pass you over to our careers teacher, Mr. John Takulan. He'll run through a few things with you, and then I'll come back at the end and go through some of the logistics of actually making these applications and popping your subject choices in. All right, thanks, Mr. Takulan. Johnny, there? This did happen the other night and then he appeared. So let's hold on. Let's see if we can find him. There's always a technological hitch, isn't there, when we're doing these things via Zoom? Ah, he's on mute. Thank you. John, you're on mute. Can you get yourself off, please? Where is he? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about this. Just give me a moment. I'll see if I can fix the problem.
Why don't you do it?
Oh,
So the host.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, John. I'm so
No, it's
sorry
all right.
about that.
It just got warm all of a sudden in the room.
My apologies. All right, I'll share my screen again and we'll get back on with it.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. All right, thanks, Lauren. All right, look, welcome everyone. Look, I'm one of a great crew, the careers team, and of course, as you can see from the screen, we all specialise in certain areas in the school. So, you know, you've got myself and Sonia, the career practitioners, Karen, who's been dealing with the work experience and also with safe at work certificates. We've also got Kathy, who's our new vet coordinator and also doing the structured workplace learning. And we've also got Kelly from Head Start. Next slide, please. Right, and as you can see, the Career Centre at Gisborne Secondary, you know, there's so many different ways we can assist you, and by all means, you know, look, you can send an email through chat. Students can actually also put their hands up in class and be excused to see someone in the careers office, but we're always more than willing to help. But as you can see from the list there's an ample of opportunities for both parents, carers and students to get some assistance in. Next page. Right, look, these are my heroes, and this is something that I've always I've championed these two people because of the fact that I always encourage students and basically my work friends is that to always step up, aim higher, because as you probably know, look, there is research that one of the most powerful contributors to student success is their own expectations of themselves. So have higher expectations, and we do expect people to, you know, step up, try, and who knows, you know, you could achieve. Okay, so we don't want people, you know, be sitting on the fence and ahhing, you know, whether they should do this or that. There's no issue just trying. If you don't succeed in it, at least you know what not to do next time, or what you can do next time, or what you need to improve on. Okay, next slide. Okay, now this is a pathway. This is a bit of a this is a bit long-winded, particularly being at year 9. You know, going to university is so many years ahead of us. But whatever pathway you take, it doesn't really matter. You'll get there eventually. So if you have no plans to go to university, you will find that in the next couple of years, while you're doing, you know, a VCE subject or a vet subject, or you're doing a school-based apprenticeship, you can still end up at the end, after year 12, still go on to employment or an apprenticeship or traineeship. If you change your mind from year 12, even if you haven't done the right subjects to get into university, there is a stepping stone. You can go into TAFE and do a diploma for 1 year and then go straight into university after that. So as I said, this is not set in concrete. It wouldn't bother anyone in the slightest if you changed your mind every 12 months, because as I said, the education system's pretty structured in a way that there's so many different avenues of getting to where you want. So it's all up to the student. Okay, so next slide. Right. Now, I did send out a sort of like a leaflet to everyone via email today, and I know it's a pretty difficult decision to make about, you know, what am I going to do next year? So with that sheet, look, I do recommend you that you do have a bit of a look through the Gisborne Secondary College Careers website, and this is something that we also encourage students to work on in their work skill classes and do a bit of research. And you'll find there that there's lots and lots of information on what VCEs, what vet, what school-based apprenticeships are, and also even looking ahead about what courses are out there once you leave school. Now, the next page. Right. In the work studies class at Year 9, it is very important that kids or students do complete the activities in class. It's something that where we give an opportunity to each student to be aware of their own skills, their interests and what they value, and to investigate and explore a bit further as to where it could take them. So, yeah, and in particular, we also look at the awareness when applying for jobs, your employability skills. It's not just the technical skills that we look at, like through a vet subject or a trade, but also looking at what are your problem solving skills like? You know, what are your communication skills like? What do you like working in a team? So, and that's why it's important that, you know, students do actually step up and try things. I've actually got in the bottom there, volunteering under applying for jobs. There's things that Year 10 students can do outside of school. For example, you may wish to do some voluntary work or even, you know, become a cadet, you know, like with the Scouts or the CFA. And also, even with, if you do play sport, why not help out the under-10s coach, you know, train, you know, with the training? Because what you'll find is there's quite a few universities now who are taking up students who've done volunteer work. They get early entry or special entry. So, for example, La Trobe University have an Aspire program where if you have done volunteer work or taken up under some leadership roles, you can use that as part of your application. And quite a few students have been successful by doing that. So it's just a matter of, as I said, it's a lot of universities and TAFEs are looking for students who have developed their employability skills. It's not just the academic, you know, knowledge that they've actually gained over the last few years. Next page. Right, making careers decisions. Now, as I said, we will do this in class, but at the same time, through the website, there is the careers bullseye that Year 9 students have worked on in first semester, and the second half are doing some now. We've also looking at the getting some ideas from the Moresby report. We've also put in there VTAC prerequisites. If you are to choose a VCE subject, it's probably a good idea to sort of work out if it's going to get you into the course that you want to in the next few years. And for example, I have put on the sheet that I sent out to everyone that VTAC prerequisites 2024. It actually does state that a student needs to complete certain subjects. Like, for example, if you want to get into the health industry and do a health course, they may require you to actually complete Unit 1 and 2, Year 11 maths. Okay, so you need to consider that before you make your final decision. Okay, next page. Right, now the plan for Year 10, as I said, we do work experience, and we do encourage everyone to do work experience, but also at the same time later on in the year with 2 weeks work experience, 2 week holidays, we encourage students to even take on further work experience, just so they can basically get their foot in the door with maybe possibly getting a school-based apprenticeship, or even getting some casual work ongoing. Also we encourage students to maybe look at some vet subjects, and if you haven't made up your mind about which vet subject to do, then I would just say, right, don't pick one, because it is a year-long or 2-year-long commitment, whereby if you don't enjoy it in the first 3 or 4 weeks, then basically, you basically have to finish it off. Okay, so until, the year after. So I would encourage people to make sure that they do enough work experience to maybe make that decision to undertake vet in year 11. The same thing with the VCE acceleration, year 10. I would go onto the website, which I've listed, an online resource whereby you can go and look at the study design for that particular subject. Look at what that content, look at the content for that VCE subject is in year 11 and 12. It may agree with you, great. Try it, go for it. If it doesn't appeal to you, don't bother. Also, I've actually put in there a link to previous exams at the end of year 12. So before taking on board the VCE subject, have a look at previous exams for that subject and see if it's something that you're particularly interested in. I know that some students who've said they don't like doing essays, and yet you go and do a history exam at the end of year 12, and there's 2 essays that you have to do. So, it might discourage you from, taking up that subject. But at the same time, with Head Start, it's not something that you enroll with first day into year 10. It's what we call a roll-on enrolment. Halfway through the year, you might get an offer from a local employer to take you on a school-based apprenticeship, and you are then looked after by Head Start. So, as I said, it's not something that you compulsorily have to do. All right, now, just doubling back to the, and we do have a Head Start coordinator, and as I said, it's not something that you pre-plan before you get into year 10. And on top of that, in order to do Head Start, you have to do a vet subject. So there is a long list of vet subjects, but I'll just warn you that it's not like picking an elective where, you give it a bit of a try. And I would say that vet, VTE classes, and also Head Start, it's very much like it's a main course, you could say. It's you're developing your skills. And I would say that if you haven't made up your mind, you need to basically just consider in year 10 the electives that are offered to give it a bit of a try, do some work experience, see how you go with the subjects. And that's what I would consider, that's your entree. And if everything goes all right in year 10 and you're happy with your elective or your subject or your elective, then choose that as a main course in year 11 as part of VCE. So you don't necessarily have to do these things in year 10. For some people, it may be a bit too early. You need to venture out and explore and also try, do some trials with some work experience before you actually do the school-based apprenticeship. Okay, next page. And this is going out tomorrow, but as I said, if you go to the next page, there is a contact at Kelly. She's in the careers office at school, and as you can see, Kelly does work with the employer, the parents, and the student, and also the trade school. So it's a complete package. And Kelly gives a full support. And if you would like some more information about how it fits in with the curriculum and how it fits into the program for next year and the year after, contact Kelly. She can give you all the information. The only thing is, it's not one of those tasters. It's not something that you would trial just for 3 weeks and see how you go. And it's also one of those things where you might actually make a decision halfway through year 10 to commit yourself to Head Start. As I said, it's not something that you go straight into first week next year. But as I said, we are using work skills classes in Year 9 to ensure that all students are aware of the opportunities that are out there and also what industries or pathways would suit them. Okay, and that's about it from me. And by all means, look, if there's any questions or queries about anything that's been presented, don't hesitate to shoot me a line through email. You've all got my email today, and as I said, most importantly, before you make your next decision, do some research, but also have a word with some of those teachers. Have a word with your course advisor next week, and also have a word with us in the careers department. All right, and that's about it.
Thank you so much, John. We'll just get ourselves happening again. All right, so I'm just going to finish up by going through a few of the more logistical things. So first up, for selecting your course and selecting your subjects, you need to log on to Edval, where you'll get your codes. They'll be emailed out by the end of the week, and it will open on Friday. So it's really important at the moment that your details are up to date and accurate on Zuno, and you're getting all our messages and emails. I'm hoping that's how most of you got the link for this evening, so you should be right, but making sure you're going to get those codes so you can log into Edval. The applications for VET and for doing an accelerated program, they need to be submitted as well, and that happens a little bit earlier than the Edval courses. So for selecting a course, you need to go to Edval. I'll be posting these slides on our website later, so you'll be able to refer back to these links. Please don't feel like you have to copy anything down. The slides will be posted on the website tomorrow, but you need to get to Edval. For the applications, you need to send those to course.selection@gisborne.sc. And to access the Subject Expo material, because we obviously weren't able to have our Subject Expo this evening, you'll need to go to this website. I'll show you where all that is in a moment. The key dates for this are that the applications for VET and the accelerated subjects must be submitted by the 2nd of August. You may submit to the office as indicated on the forms. We obviously wrote those before we went into lockdown, or you can email them to the address above. Online subject selections need to be made a week later by the 8th of August 2021. Also on the website, amongst all of the forms and bits and pieces, is this document. And this is a subject selection planning sheet for Year 9 into 10. I've sort of cut it in half there, so it'll fit on a slide. But it's a really useful document for starting to plan out and think about your subject selection. So I definitely recommend that you also download that. Stop sharing my screen for a moment, and I'll bring up the website so that we can have a look at that. All right, hopefully you can see the school website. John Takulin, yep, thank you, Richard. All right, you can see the school website. So for accessing all of these materials, you just need to go to Learning, Senior School, Course Handbooks. Click on that, and that will take you to this delightful page where you can see all the course handbooks. You can see that there is the VCE acceleration application document, the VET application form, and the other materials I've mentioned. There's the subject planning sheet that I was just showing you. In addition, there is subject information videos. Now, these are primarily focused at VCE, but I would definitely recommend you watch a few of them, especially if you're looking at applying for that accelerated program. All right, I'm going to stop sharing there, and I will just finish up. Before I do that, Richard, were there any questions in the chat that we needed to answer now, or can we take a few away?
No, we can do it quickly. There's only a couple ones we might be able to help out with. So you have your course advising sessions on Monday and Tuesday. The booking's opened for those this morning. So you make those via Zuno on the parent-teacher interviews. Just choose a time that suits you on a day that suits you. There's no staff names allocated beside the course advisors. So just make the time that suits you. You only need to make one booking, and on either Monday or Tuesday at that chosen time, one of our course advisors will make a call to you via Teams. The second question, sorry, it's just disappeared off my screen, was the vet selection on the subject planning sheet. Yeah, that's a yes for that one. If you're opting to do a vet subject, you put it on the planning sheet, but you also obviously need to fill in the application form to do the vet one.
Beautiful.
Answers all that.
All right. There's just a couple of questions here. One around doing an accelerated option. Yes, it does mean that you will get some points from the extra subject that you would be doing at Year 12. So yes, that is what that means. You get full points for your top 4 subjects, and then you get a portion of your 5th and 6th subjects. So that's what that's for. And then someone's asked about, no, you don't have to choose subjects before the discussions next week. Those dates are a week later. So we'll meet with you on Monday and Tuesday next week, and then you have until Sunday night to make your subject choices. So that just gives you a little bit more time, and then I think it's till the Friday to get the applications in. So you've got a little bit of extra time once you've had the discussions on Monday and Tuesday next week. I think that was it. The question around school-based apprenticeships, contact our careers office around that, and they'll be able to give you some more information in regards to that. All the material from tonight will be uploaded to our website. So this presentation, in terms of the slides that I went through, and then we'll also put on the recording of this as well. I do really want to thank you all for your attendance tonight. It's fantastic to have so many of you here and paying attention. I know it's really difficult doing these things, and it's not the way we would want to deliver this to you, but we really appreciate you sticking with us tonight, and really look forward to having all of our Year 9 students step up into the senior school next year. Richard, was there anything you wanted to finish with?
No, just thanks to John and thanks to Lauren for your presentations tonight. Again, we hope that that's answered most of the questions that might be on people's minds about what the process going forward is. We thank parents and families for joining in tonight. It is a joint activity. We do this. We need to work with families to be successful for kids in terms of getting the right program. So we really do thank you for being a part of that tonight.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll finish there.